everyone. In case it's not morning where you're at, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. I'm your host, Anthony Longhair Leclerc, and I'm joined by two members of Montreal's greatest rock band, The Mother Down, Mike and Silvio. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having us.
So, I've heard a single track from this new album, and I'm really excited to hear more. But so, tell me about Feel before we dig into the album overall.
Yeah, well,
go ahead, because this is your first time.
Yeah, it's the first time we finally meet.
Yeah,
it's true. Well, Feel is gonna be the first single off of the album. I mean, it's a rocker, that's for sure. I mean, what is there to say about it? It's a song that we wrote. How long is it that we wrote that song?
It's a song we wrote in 2019.
Yeah, well, the whole album started in 2019. Actually.
Like we were speaking about, the whole album started in 2019. Feel was decided to be written. Was decided to be a single early on when we started writing it. As I explained in the last podcast as well, it was an ear warmer for everybody. The way it was written, it writ itself. Joe had the lick, Mike went out, Mike came back, we fixed it up. Right. It just ended up writing itself. Sure. Felt right, and ended up becoming the single of the new sophomore album called 9 Years. We have another 5 songs coming out shortly within this year. Within the end of the year, hopefully, and that's it. It's been an album that's been in process for about a year. The single has been out since early summer of 2021. Mm-hmm. It had a great response in Italy. It had a great response with you guys. It had a great response here in Montreal with some podcasts and some web radio stations. We did get on rotation in Italy, in few parts of Italy. Actually, it was really weird. I got some messages from
all over, really.
From pretty all over, in England as well. All web stations, but in Italy, it did go on an actual radio station in 3 radio stations in 3 different parts of Italy, which was unbelievable. And now the album's going to be coming out.
Yeah, that's amazing. So,
yeah.
As you say, it pretty much wrote itself, but so did you started with here's some lyrics, or you just came up with that in the jam?
Yeah. So, well, the thing, what happened with Feel is that like he was saying, it was the drummer's riff, right? It's Joe's riff. And I think I stepped out to the washroom. I came back and he was jamming on it, took my guitar like he always does when I step out of the room. And, he was humming along to it kind of thing. And I was like, oh, that's kind of cool, you know?
And then it started popping up.
Yeah, exactly. And then when he gave me the guitar, and then I started copying, I was pretty basic riff, right? So I just kind of picked up what he was doing just by eye. And I started playing it, and then naturally I started doing my own thing to it. And then I just started writing a bunch of other riffs that just, came together. And actually we took a chorus from another song, another riff from another song.
That's true.
That just kind of fell to the wayside. And just put it together. And then, that's usually what happens. Riff after riff, you start jamming, get the creative juices flowing, right?
Yeah.
And before you know it, there's a song. And then, it kind of did write itself. It came together pretty quickly. Actually.
Pretty quickly to the point where within a couple of shows that we had lined up, we started bringing it live. And we
started bringing it. Yeah, we started playing it pretty quickly. Yeah.
We started playing it pretty quickly and we brought it live. And before the pandemic, because I was in Italy also in 2019, I did a big trip. We had like 6 shows lined up when I got back. And this was all like pre-COVID. And all those 6 shows, we played the song through and had like I said, it felt right. That's why it was a single.
Yeah, we always got a good response with it live too. The crowd seemed to be into it. So that's how we really came to the decision to put it out as a single.
Yeah.
Right on.
We recorded it.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
It's interesting to hear, Mike, your take on it then, right? Because when last Sylvia and I talked, it was just like, okay, so this is what happened. He buggered off to the washroom. It's just interesting to hear. It's like verbatim the same story. It's just
well, that's what happens. I mean, a lot of times I come back from just stepping out from the jam space, and Joe's always has my guitar in his hand, right? And he fiddles on the guitar. He's actually not bad on it, so he comes up with ideas, and sometimes it's like, oh, that's cool, man, and like I'm very open when it comes to creative things like that too, so like another one of our songs on our previous album, on the first album, As Above So Below, that's Joe's riff. That's also Joe's riff. And then I did the same thing with Feel. I took that, and then we just started jamming on it, and then more riffs came about, started writing other things around it, and then before you know, there's a whole other song.
Yeah, there's a lot of times where
it doesn't matter where it comes from.
one member steps out of the room, the other two just start gelling, and then the other one jumps in later. It's happened with me and Joe and him jumping back in, and it's happened also vice versa, where him and Joe start jamming, and then I come back in, and and next thing you know, I'm doing something. Or we wrote like one of the songs, "Man," was written right before COVID. Literally 2 weeks before COVID, there was a song on. There's a song on the new album, and me and Mike wrote it, and then Joe came in, gave his take, and whatnot. But it ultimately was just me and him. So it happens a lot where there's things where they started or I started with him, and we all just jump in.
Yeah, and if it serves the song and serves the album, then the better it is.
Exactly.
Like more often than not, I'm writing all the riffs just because by default I'm playing guitar, and so. But it doesn't matter. I mean, like I said, Joe plays guitar and he noodles around, and if he comes up with something cool and
we're all open
to say that it's just because he plays something, it doesn't matter. If it's good, it's good. So it works out. It's cool.
Right
As long as we vibe on it and it feels good, then no pun intended. The song's gonna feel that.
No pun intended.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, there were a couple of opportunities earlier as well when you were just like, it just felt right, and I was like, it had a good feel with it. Which it does. It's a kick-ass song, and it is definitely an earworm that has been drilling into my head since I first heard it. So,
well, thank you very much, Anthony. We really appreciate
it.
Thank you. And the response, unbelievable. Like I said, even in other places where they just, I don't know, man. It's just, like I said, it felt right. It just feels good listening to it. No pun intended.
Yeah. So the album itself overall. So it's called Nightmares, you said?
9 years.
Oh, 9 years. Sorry.
Yeah.
No, not Nightmares. No.
I was just like, oh.
It felt like a nightmare, to be honest, to finish this album.
The whole process,
The whole process was a nightmare.
It would have, like we said, we were just talking before we started recording that, when we had first started to write the album, put it together, it was just, pre-COVID. And at the rate we were going, when we had to stop, we had done about 50, 60% of the album. We had tracked all the drums, I think some bass, some like preliminary guitar stuff. All the vocals were already thought of. We just had to be recorded, So had we continued at that pace, we would have been done probably in the next month, and then we had to wait an entire year, right? With uncertainty of what the hell was going on. And then by the time, we finally got around to everything, our studio guy, Matt, guy recording all our songs, shout out to Matt, he built another studio. So he started that process, and then he was under renovation and under construction. So, and then that, took forever too. And then by the time we got around to actually finishing everything, here we are.
The album was supposed to, the album's initial intent had to have about 8-9 songs, like the first album.
Right.
We had to deduct songs because of time.
Mm-hmm.
We had a pad early on where we had invested on a place where we had our instruments there, and it was in a town in Griffintown, in an area in Montreal, an urban area, very old. Now it's all getting all.
No, it's gone now.
It's gone now because everything is developed. But there used to be a lot of places where they had like music pads, Now they got rid of it, but we were there, and we at the time we had written a song called 9 Years that was supposed to be on our first album, Nonfiction Remedy, which, because it's one of those songs that got in Mike's head, got in my head and Joe's head. Things weren't connecting. Things didn't feel right. It got pushed aside. Then we didn't jam on it. Then we came back to it. Anyways, long story short, the song has been sitting there, and it gave us the energy and the wave to start this new album, which is called 9 Years. Then everything that happened with COVID, we had to deduct songs because then other songs came together faster.
Yeah.
So I'll just give you the song list quickly. It's Feel, Hiding, See Myself, which was written also for the first album.
That was one of the first songs we ever wrote.
That was one of the first songs we ever wrote. Yeah. Beginning of a Beginning was in one of those third or fourth songs that we ever wrote.
Yeah.
And then we have Vinyl, which is also written in Griffintown. 9 Years was going to be written in Griffintown. And then, Man just came together, like I said, right before the COVID. So we got rid of 9 Years. We got rid of another 2 songs that we just completely scrapped the idea. And we left it as a 6-song album, becoming a sophomore album. But we left the name 9 Years.
Yeah.
which brings me, which eventually, which is supposed to be on this album, which it's still in the 9 years is like, it's been recorded 3 to 4 times with me and Mike through trial and error, and it's there. So eventually, maybe we're gonna get to it. Once now our main focus is getting rid of the album, getting it out there, and then eventually, what we're gonna probably do is start. If ever we start working on creating again, which is probably gonna happen in the near, we're gonna
sometime next year.
Hopefully, sometime next year, and there's some gigging because we haven't gigged in forever.
Yeah.
And eventually, what we want to do is just start, instead of doing album because we've already done. It's gonna be our second album, right?
Yeah.
To work with the way things are waving with the net and everything, and just work with one song by song, like just playing, like just distributing songs, like we did with that COVID song there during that little instrumental thing that was during COVID there.
Perfect. Great, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, that was all Mike.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's it was right off the hop at the start of COVID. It was like, I don't know. It made me feel great and awful at the same time. but awful in a great way, if that makes any sense. It made me feel a lot, but it was yeah, I don't know. It fit the time when you released it.
It really did.
Yeah, well, that was just one of those many nights that we've all spent at home, right, doing nothing, and just listening to, what was this? I was listening to Alice in Chains. I was listening to Jar of Flies, like a teenager on the floor on a pillow with my headphones on, and then I picked up my guitar, and that's what happened.
Yeah, well, everybody was going.
Like, exactly.
Everybody
so
was going through their mental. That's the thing too. Like he briefly explained. I don't want to get into his personal shit, but everybody was going through some. No, but it's true. Everybody was going through their mental thing at that point.
Yeah, exactly.
Nobody knew what was going on, and it's like him too. He had some shit going on. And he's like, you know what? And that's another thing. He just laid it. And next thing you know, he goes, "Oh, what do you think of this?" I'm like, "Yeah, let's just promote it." And it happened. I think everybody throughout that time was going through something. Like I remember listening to it when Mike sent it to me, and then I remember publishing it, and I remember sending it to you, and I remember walking, and I remember doing the video because I did like a scrappy video on my phone because I had no resources for nothing because I'm not a video editor, but we needed this song to get out, so that's what we did. And I remember the video was me walking, was a shadow of my shadow walking, and I remember those times a lot of people were just walking. Everybody was just like,
there's nothing else to do.
We were going nuts.
The only way to get out.
Yeah, and that song, like when I listen to that song today, still something. It just brings me back to that moment where everybody was just trying to figure out the fuck is going on.
Well, yeah, just walking. No one knew what the hell was happening.
That's what that song is. That's why I sorry to take credit for it, but I take credit for the title, Perfect Imperfection, because that's what it was. It was so imperfect at that time that it was perfect.
I'm horrible with titles. I just write stuff, and if you see the notes in my voice notes on my phone where all my riffs are, like he always makes fun of me because I cannot come up with song titles. I just leave that to them.
Yeah.
You're like, that thing that starts with this note is the title?
Pretty much. All my voice notes are just
Dad Gag 1
tuning names, or like Van Halen riff 3. Yeah, Sammy Hagar thing 4. Like it's just
Pearl Jam it thing.
Exactly. What was the other one? If Joe Perry was on steroids and wrote Master of Puppets, that was one of them.
Oh, those ones.
Oh, okay. So is that riff in any of the songs on this album? Because I need to know that riff.
By the way, where's Marla?
She is inside working on. So she now has a shirt business that she's been promoting. Shout out to Pigeon Press. So yeah, she's.
Tell her we say hi.
Yeah, for sure.
What's that?
Tell her we say hi.
Yeah. Oh, I will do, of course. But yeah, she. I guess she was busy and decided not to walk in. I was actually kind of surprised, but here we are.
Usually she's there. That's why I saw.
Yeah.
All right. Well, but anyway. So after Perfect Imperfection, and again, we're still right. This album is still there. Perfect Imperfection just popped out like that. So it was, and we had decided, should we put it on the album or what's going to happen here? So we just put it out, and then. But then again, nowadays with album and the whole album concept, it's like, does it really matter?
put it with whatever, you know, group of songs that you want to release it as. Once it's on, you know, the music platforms, and what's the difference?
Yeah.
People don't listen to it as an album, like a collection of songs anyway.
Yeah. We like to do it that way because we're old school.
Yeah, I mean, if we press that second album with those songs, and we can always, you know, we'll probably throw it on there, to be honest, you know, and just, you know, sell it at the shows or whatever.
Yeah, that's true.
You know, as it stands online or whatever, I mean, everything's there, so you can just listen to whichever songs.
Yeah, it's a whole discography or everything. Yeah. So that's it. So we got 6 songs. We got 5 more songs coming, man, for sure.
So I'm wondering now. So you guys started in 2014, right?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I'm wondering if now you just wait, because you said you'll be hopefully within the next year getting together and putting together more music. By the time you hit 2023, it'll have been 9 years.
Yeah, well, that's another
time to release the song.
Yeah, like this freaking song, you know.
We're actually planning on working on it soon, because now with all these restrictions again, and we'll see what's going to happen. We're probably, because we haven't been in the studio since,
well, before 2 weeks ago, it was over a year.
Over a year. So we want to get back in the studio. We want to get the creative juices going. But even last time, like, I'm very transparent, and so is Mike. Even last time we were in the studio, we had jumped back in the studio in the summer after so long. Sorry, in the jam sessions, and it, not that it got stale, but it just got like, there's no shows.
Well, that's the thing, right?
There's nothing going on. We played these songs over and over. Nothing's coming. Not working towards anything. So now it's like, you know what? Let's concentrate on the album. Let's finally finalize it. It's all done, taken care of. Next year, we're gonna start jamming again here and there. And we're gonna start getting those creative juices going. And yeah, we're probably gonna record it, and we're probably gonna keep it. You know, it's funny. We'll probably keep it in the back burner. That song.
Yeah,
somewhere it's gonna come out.
Truthfully, you know, when it comes time to do a third album, I mean, truthfully, we already have a third album's worth of music.
Yeah, that's only decides whether we finalize those songs. Yeah, it's true.
Like, you know, when we started in 2014, like that first year, how many songs did we have? I think we had 20. I think like 20 songs, 18, 20 songs. You know what I mean?
Wow. We never lacked.
That's one thing. We never had that problem with creativity.
One thing I briefly spoke about with you is like bands like us, local bands, where we just, you know, we have like, let's say a couple thousand followers, 4,000 or 5,000 followers. Even some people have like 200 followers. Whatever. That's not the point. It has nothing to do with following. Who cares about that? But I'm using a following as so people can understand where we're at as a band. Because if you see a band with, oh my God, they have like fucking 3 million followers, you know that these guys are legit. They got a certified. Then you get bands like us where they're, you know, 4,000 or 5,000 followers. So local level bands, like I have them on our accounts, and we observe and we see what's going on. And it's like, it's cool because like a lot of times, like we look at our stuff, and not to gloat, but we're happy that we have so much music out there to share. Because at the end of the day, what's it about?
The music.
About that.
It's about the music.
It's about the songs, the music.
It's about the songs.
On our IG page, it's all there in the IGTV.
Like I said, we're transparent. We have all our music out there. We're planning on getting all our music out there. And even if we go song by song and we just keep, you know, we're all our music, everything we've intended to do as a band, everything me, Mike, and Joe set out to do, even before Joe was part of the band, everything me and Mike spoke about, it's been done to the T.
Yeah, for sure.
Give or take songs that we decided along the way that, you know, whatever. But
you always songs that fall to the wayside.
But that's that's why I'm really proud. I'm sure Mike is too, and obviously we're very proud of this new album coming out. Like, we're very proud of these songs. They're recorded differently.
Yeah, they're recorded differently for sure. They're definitely the best ones to date as far as, you know, the way the songs are written, and, you know, it's definitely strongest material for sure.
All right. So in terms of comparing it to Nonfiction Remedy, so beyond the production quality, as you say, is there a difference is 9 years heavier, or is it more of a mix, or is it you know, like in terms of feel, without trying to make another pun, is it similar in scope, or is it there
are similarities to it. I mean, you can, what you've heard on the first album, and like, you know, you get a sense of what kind of type of band we are, you can definitely expect the same thing. But the songs are definitely arranged and composed with a bit more thought in mind, as we, have gotten better as a band and artists ourselves. But there's heavy tracks, there's some bluesy stuff, maybe not as much as the first album, but that element is there. There's a song like Man, which there's, it's largely acoustic. There's even some, some like string section and some symphonic kind of things going on there. You get a song like Beginning of the Beginning, which is more like a throwback, like 90s sort of Black Crowes-y kind of vibe too. There's some keyboards and piano in there. So
November Rainish.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's a long song,
7.5 minutes.
Yeah,
Nice.
Yeah. So we brought in other elements of like a lot of the music and rock, all different types of rock that we listen to. But definitely the core sound of the band is there. It's
Yeah, and then you have a song like Feel, where it's like, that's when you hear that, you hear us.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have a song like Hiding, which again, it's not bluesy, but it's got that funk.
The elements are there.
The elements of us being there. And then, See Myself being a song that we explained before was early on, actually.
Yeah.
It's got that early 90s Black Crowes rock vibe. And then, you have Vinyl, which was actually a protest song when we wrote it, more like how music is being consumed. Like the lyrically, that's what it's about. Vinyl is about how people just consume music today versus how it used to be, and and then it goes from that to like, it goes from us, our style of like writing and the way we're like rock funky, and then it breaks into this like 70s rock, and there's a lot of elements.
Nice.
But then you go like what Mike's explained, from Man to Beginning of It to that, so there's, like you said, it's more thought out.
Even though it's 6 songs, though, it's well-rounded.
It's well-rounded
songs for sure.
So with vinyl, just to touch on the way music's consumed today, it's more about the protest of how it's less of an experience today, as it
that's exactly actually what it means. Vinyl means, like, if you obviously you're going to listen to the songs firsthand, lyrically that's what it meant to us. Lyrically, I mean, the song's a rocking song, right? And it's composed like this 6.5 minute rock piece, and we tried to give it as much of a live feel to it.
Yeah,
even in the recording. Well,
all the songs are recorded live.
All the good songs are recorded live, but that song in particular was one of those songs where we let it roll out like we were just playing in front of a fucking audience. Like, if we had to meet to play that song and record it live and give it a live recording, we would have done it. That's how like live we wanted that song to be. And lyrically, that's what it was about. Lyrically, it's just about how people consume music today. Again, we're all guilty for it. We all consume music the same way because that's what's given to us, but that's what it's about. And yeah, the experience of, like you said, not even just listening to a vinyl per se, but even just consuming music live. Everything and just how music is consumed.
Yeah, well, for sure. I mean, it all correlates.
It all correlates, exactly.
For sure. I mean, if you think about, I think you're more or less our age, right, Anthony? If you think about the way we grew up listening to music, pre-internet kind of thing, and you have your album, your band, whatever it is that you're into, you can't wait that they're going to come around to your town, and you only see so much of them, right? They're not overexposed like everyone is today, right? So by the time they come around, whether it's a small band in a local club or an arena show, like, you're excited to go see them, and the turnout is most often it's better, right?
Yeah.
Versus now it's harder, right?
Yeah, you have to seek out
overexposed.
tape.
Sorry.
Oh, I was just saying, and you have to seek out their cassette tape or their. You're
gonna go out because you're gonna go out of your way to listen to that band because you want to. So you got to go to the store. You got to find it. You got to crap. There's none left. You go to another store, or you come back, or you know what I mean, like.
Not only that, when you purchase an album, you're listening to the entire album because you're not skipping through different types of songs from different types of bands on one playlist.
Yeah, you take a chance that album is shit.
Exactly.
Just because of the one song, or it's great, or
And the next thing you know, you bought an album. That's another thing. Consuming music when us growing up, you get it, like you said, you get an album that's shit, and then you come to terms with saying, oh, I bought an album for one song. And then you throw that album away and you slightly forget about it. And then like, you know, a couple of years go by, and then, oh shit, you know what? You re-listen to the album, you
Yeah.
fall in love with other songs that you didn't like then, has different meanings today.
Yeah.
That's how it was, you know. And then you find albums like, there's so many albums that I just I can press play and that's it, and let it go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not today.
But also having a tangible piece of something, a CD, a vinyl, a cassette,
There's a
whatever it
different
is,
meaning.
has
Yeah.
a different meaning. You know, you open it, it's got that thing. You open the shrink wrap, and it's got the book and the booklet. You know, you read it and you listen to it at the same time.
And it's
You
art.
know, and then like 20 years later, like let's see, now I listen to these bands that I used to listen to in high school or whatever, and it's just like it's a nostalgic thing, right? You pick up that same CD that you bought then.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I remember, you know, where I bought this, how much I paid for it. You know, I went to see this show. I have the guy's guitar pick. It's in there, or like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
they do that now. Kids can't do that now. And I kind of feel bad for them that they don't get to have that experience.
Yeah.
You know,
I was
instant. You pay your credit card, you get it, it's on your phone, and it's just like, okay, it's this thing. It just lives in your pocket. It's like,
Yeah, it's not the same.
it's not how you're supposed to consume art.
No,
Yeah.
art's not to be
You know what I mean?
consumed that way.
Whether it's music or
Anything,
whatever, poetry,
anything.
a book, you know what I mean? Like even a painting, like
Yeah.
you know what I mean? It's not supposed to live in your on your phone or your iPad or whatever.
Yeah, it's not supposed to be
Just,
digital.
I don't know. I mean,
but it
well,
is
who's
what it
to
is.
say it's not supposed to?
No,
I mean,
no
it's
one.
more of a philosophical thing about art and creativity, but
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what it is now, you know, and that's what you know people are sort of getting used to. I mean, you know, but
Yeah,
they just
myself,
lack
yeah.
the whole other side of the experience, you know, which I feel bad for that they don't get. You know,
for sure. Yeah, I
They're-
was that's,
they're grown, they're born into
So
this
this is-
generation. So.
This is why you're getting a lot of like internet material with like nostalgic stuff on it. Like, you know, you go on these Instagrams pages and these podcasts where they have all these like nostalgic videos and all this like material that's just nostalgic, and people are, you know, but then you see those pictures like on some of those like Instagram sites where it's, oh look, there's toys and there's this and there's like, you're like, it's all tangible stuff that you don't really, you know, experience, like Mike's saying today. And music is probably one of the main ones that got hit.
Well, I think so.
Well, I like to think so, but then again, everybody's different opinions. But music is one of those things that sucks because it's, like you said, it's art. Like he said, poetry. You look at it and you open that shrink wrap. It's you know, especially a vinyl. Like from a vinyl to a CD, you see the difference. But from a CD
Sure.
to like a phone, it's like
Yeah.
completely.
yeah. When it's literally no longer tangible, the music is not even
That's
tangible.
why vinyl made such a comeback these days. It's not because it's I think it's because of that. The tangible, like the art, like it's a piece of art. It's on your wall or it's in your, you know.
Yeah.
Because when CDs were relevant, I mean, vinyl was non-existent. There was people collecting, but it wasn't, you know. Then you had people like our age then saying, you know, you guys don't know what vinyl, that feel of that live sound, like,
Yeah.
you know. And now vinyl made a huge comeback in the last 10 years.
Yeah. What's old is new, right?
Yeah, what's old is new, exactly. Yeah.
Have you considered doing a limited vinyl pressing of
We
the
did.
upcoming album?
We definitely looked into it. It's definitely possible for sure.
Yeah.
It'd be cool.
It'd be cool. Like we said,
we
we decided, like we had said, because the more you play, right, live, the more money you make. And I mean, again, it's a lot of time, a lot of money, and you know, we're not starving musicians, but we're not full-time musicians either. So our energies are spread a bit thin to a degree. So we're also realistic. But yeah, that was one of, we had that talk a few times.
I mean, but it's always there.
But it's always there, yeah.
You know. Yeah. Services.
But again, you want to play shows. You want to have them like
Yeah.
you want to send the vinyls out. You want to have the vinyls pressed when you're playing a show. You could sell them at like $25. Those you can get.
Sure.
You know. We did make a CD. We still haven't sent you. It's true. We haven't sent you the first copy. We have to send that to you. We're gonna take your information down after.
Yes. Thank you.
Because you never got the first copy. It's true. I just remembered. We were meant to send it to him.
That's good. It's all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I look forward to it. But yeah, so how has that been with the three of you just being with an inability to play gigs? Like how's that been hitting you guys, if you don't mind me getting a little down and personal?
Yeah, well, it kind of sucks, right? And that's a large part of playing in a band is playing live. That's definitely the funnest aspect of it, right? But we try to jam and stay creative as much as we can, and other than that, it's just a waiting game. There's not much more to it. We can't really do anything. And we're not about to play a show with, people in masks and just limited capacity and all this stuff. It's just for what? You know what I mean? So yeah, at this point, we're working on these songs. We were able to get the second album out. Who knows what we can do, in the new year with, we have a bunch of material lying around, like I was saying before. So, but hopefully we can get back to playing shows again. And that's the ideal, right?
I think the main focus right now for me, Mike and Joe, is just to keep creative,
Yeah.
whatever it is. Whether it's keep like now getting the album out, promoting content, making eventually doing lyric videos like we were spoken about, other ideas, inspiration, and you know what? Just keeping that vibe of friendship flowing musically and outside of music, and that's what's going to keep us going. I think for whatever, because like Mike said, we're not going to play these shows where it's going to be limited access. It's going to limit us. Already, you're limited as a musician, and playing live gigs at local places where there's so much work involved that, like you said, where our energy is spread thin. So there's so much to do, and then when you do it under those circumstances with these restrictions, it's not worth it all. That's it.
Yeah. I don't know about Ontario, but
for us, it wasn't worth it. For us three, it wasn't worth the.
Yeah, it's I don't, like I said, I don't know about Ontario, but like here in
Because it was
Quebec,
closed forever.
everything is it's either closed. Well, right now at this moment they're closed, the bars
Okay.
and venues and dance floors and all that kind of thing. So you can't do any of that.
No.
And just prior to that, which was last week, there wasn't really any live shows happening, and things are 50% capacity. And all
Even
that
in
kind
the
of stuff.
summer,
So,
I mean, it wasn't really. But the bars that host local bands, and
no, they're not doing.
they weren't doing shows. They weren't allowed.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Yeah, in Ontario, they so I guess predominantly they started hiring either solo or duo acts, and not as much the band thing, because the noise level, and then people would have to yell over each other, and that's them speaking moistly or whatever, as the phrase goes. But so yeah, they were just really, I think we've had, since the last lockdown ended, maybe a handful of gigs.
There you go.
But then last week, as you say, the new restrictions coming in, so now it's down to half capacity. The bar has to, booze stops flowing at 10 o'clock, and it has to be shut by 11. So no one's going out
No.
to watch music before 10 o'clock.
Our Monday have been closed.
What's that?
All the bars in Montreal and Quebec have been closed.
Wow.
Again, in Quebec, the whole province.
The whole province.
Bars, dance floors, you're not allowed to dance, no karaoke, nothing. Restaurants, 10 o'clock, it's closed. It's like, what's the point? I'm not gonna try and play.
So the main
or
focus.
even if you would have done even if we just did acoustic and voice,
There's no point.
There's no point. Like, who are you gonna play to? Nobody's gonna go.
Yeah. So the main focus is to stay creative, man. Maybe, like I said, eventually we're gonna hop back into the studio. We're gonna speak to Matt, and we're gonna lay down some tracks. Who knows? We might even write another 4 or 5 songs. Knowing us,
On top of
on top of the 9 years work that we want to do.
and all the songs are just laying around.
And there's so many. Don't even call them songs. At this point, they're ideas.
Well, yeah, they're ideas, but there are.
Out of those ideas, there's 3-4 songs
like complete songs
that could be complete songs within a decision making of us to say, okay, let's complete these songs, and they're completed.
But I think you definitely need to work on the Joe Perry ripped playing his version of Master of Puppets.
Not that good.
No?
Yeah, that's a stupid title.
Trust me, it's not that good. If it was that good, it would have been somewhere.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Just the thing was cool though.
I'm just trying to imagine that sound.
Well, you get it in feel.
Oh well. Okay. I thought you said if it was good enough, it would already be out, but you said it wasn't. That's the
other one, no. But he's saying Joe Perry. I mean, like Joe Perry's.
You get that Joe Perry feel.
One of influences, I guess. In terms of rock guitar playing, that style of rock. So his kind of influence just finds its way in there. Well, the both of them. You shouldn't say just Joe Perry and Brad Whitford.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. how much Brad Woodford contributed to the souls and riffs in that band.
Yeah.
Everyone automatically thinks it's Joe Perry. It's not.
Yeah, because they see Steve Tyler, Joe Perry.
Yeah, exactly. But some of the most iconic riffs you hear in Aerosmith are Brad Whitford riffs.
Yeah.
You know, and Tom Hamilton for that matter.
And then there's a lot of, as much as, because Van Halen is such a distinct sound. There's a lot of Van Halen influence in Mike too that people don't really.
Yeah, I love Van Halen. More Van Hagar to be
that's a whole
specific. That's a whole other thing. But I mean, I love the David Lee Roth era too. But I mean, just Van Halen in general. Van Halen's playing this. Any guitar player, most likely probably influenced by him.
So, yeah, I guess since we were originally going to get together at some point, Silvio, to discuss this stuff anyway, we were going to discuss different albums and things. So your main influences, Mike, then. So you already said Sammy Hagar I guess Van Halen overall with the whole deal, and Aerosmith, but not as much Joe Perry. Where else do you take?
Sorry, go ahead.
Where else do you take influence from?
Well, like my earliest influence. Well, first of all, I started playing bass before guitar, and I played bass for like 2 or 3 years before I even touched the guitar. So my earliest influences are all bass players: Gene Simmons, Tom Hamilton, Joe, John Paul Jones,
Nice.
Flea. Actually, it was the Chili Peppers that made me want to start playing bass. And then slowly getting into guitar was and he always say, "Oh, you play guitar like a bass player." I guess that's
that's why
my riffs are. I guess they're based
driven. That's what it sounds
driven.
like. Keith Richards was a bass player,
and oddly enough, I only really sort of got into the Stones like lately. I never was really a Stone guy, But like early guitar players, I mean, I was a big Kiss fan, right? I said Gene Simmons, but like Ace Frehley was a big one for me. Jimmy Page, Hendrix, Stevie Ray Vaughan, Eric Clapton. For sure.
Angus Young's riff.
Yeah, for sure. Angus Young. Yeah, definitely that stuff. But Hetfield, a lot of James Hetfield. I mean, as much as I love Kirk Hammett and Metallica in general, like James Hetfield's like his rhythm playing. Tea Party, Jeff Martin's rhythm guitar playing, a lot of the alternate tuning stuff that I got from him, sort of. And songwriting, his rhythm guitar playing is great, And so like those guys in that sort of realm too,
Yeah,
for sure.
Or like just from that list. Oh, sorry. I was just gonna say, just from that list, I get that blues feel real easy in there. Just from that list of people, there's one hell of a groove and a wicked siding with the blues. So it makes a lot of sense for the music that you create, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. And you know what too was a big one? Zach Wild was a big one for me.
Nice.
Yeah, where I learned my vibrato really from him. Just trying to practice his stuff, trying to play the stuff he does. But you can't play. It doesn't matter who it is, even if you can't really play it. I mean, if you just pick up little nuggets here and there, and then you just gotta make it your own. So that was one little thing I took from him, was definitely like his vibrato. That it's got that really aggressive kind of thing about his playing.
That chug and squeal. Yeah.
Well, the squealing and all that stuff for sure. That, but like even before that, it's like Billy Gibbons, really, right? ZZ Top. But and like he just took it to another level for sure. But his vibrato, the way he bends, the way he grabs his nose, like the way he plays very aggressive, the way he attacks the strings, his picking attack, and all that stuff. Yeah, right, for sure. Oh, and Jason Newsted, that's a huge one. That's the one I was trying to figure out before. That was a huge one for me. Like when I first started playing.
Yeah.
The bass, especially.
Yeah, well, I figured.
Yeah,
he's not usually the one I hear when people mention Metallica. Usually it's Cliff Burton as inspiration. Yeah, well, I just because when I started playing bass, I was into Metallica when I was watching them on Much Music or on TV. That the stuff they were coming out with at that time, that was the Newsted era of Metallica. And as much as I loved Cliff, and I was aware of him, and I knew he was on the first 3 albums. Who I saw was Newsted, right? So yeah, I gravitated more towards that. Fair enough. Yeah. So with the new year, so your album is aiming to be dropped by the new year, or by the next couple for sure. Sweet. And people will be able to find it on Spotify and Apple
Yeah.
Music and
All
all the
the
things.
regular platforms, Spotify, YouTube Music, Amazon.
Yeah. And we have some more lyric videos coming on the way as well.
Yeah.
We had our first one up for the single, which I did again half-ass. Now we're gonna try to get something more professionally done. We have more time, so that's gonna be one of those things where we're gonna work on that too as well.
Yeah, those will be on our YouTube.
Like I
channel.
said, the creative process and the energy is gonna be more towards content until things start loosening up and restrictions start. This whole COVID thing starts moving
Yeah.
away.
I will say though, your the videos, I wouldn't downplay yourself too much, because they work for what it is you do. Like the
Well, I
lyric
try.
video still works wonderfully, and for Perfect Imperfection,
Well,
it's still it
like I
fits
said,
the
I try to take the music and the sound and whatever's done and put it through my eyes of whatever I could do with what I can do, because a lot of like Mike said, a lot of the stuff that a lot of the image of the band and all that stuff, like Mike's all about the music and the producing, and then I try to like whatever he shows on, musically I try to project it through imagery and make sense of it,
yeah.
it's even the name of the bands, like we made the name of the band together with Joe, but again, it was all through discussion and figuring it out. And then, but a lot of the creativity is like when I try to, for what the band should look like and what we look like and what the music is, it's got to make sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Because, so thank you for that. I mean, like I said, eventually we want to do it a little bit more professionally done. And
Yeah, well,
not on a phone.
Things will get refined as
Get
as you
refined
move
as
forward,
things
but-
going. Don't forget, I mean, when we started this band, I mean, Mike was the only guy that actually had experience in being in bands. Like I had never picked up a microphone prior to this band. Joe had maybe like one or two little bands that were just kind of like just jamming and stuff like that.
Yeah, I don't think it played shows or anything.
The only guy that's had experience throughout this whole process was Mike. Like for the live stuff and growing up as a musician, going to school as a musician, so that was all Mike.
Yeah.
I just learned my way. So,
yeah. When we first started too, I wanted to play shows like within the first 6 months.
yeah, he was
You know,
ready to go.
I was trying to push him like, come on guys, we got to get a thing together. And we'll learn a couple
It took a
covers.
year.
We'll
It took a
do 2 or 3 originals along the way, and we'll just start playing shows within the first couple of months, right? Because that's what I was used to. It was just a really quick turnover from all the previous bands that I've been in, and it ended up being like a year later that we played our first show. But you know what? It's a blessing in disguise because we got comfortable as a group. We became very tight.
Wrote a lot of good
wrote
stuff.
a lot of music, and consequently now, I mean, we record all our stuff, no click, it's all live. You know what I mean? But that's probably because from the early jams, we just, repeating and hammering out those songs, over and over again. We got really tight as a band, so.
Yeah. And that was the experience.
I don't regret, playing.
No, and him being patient enough to say to
exactly.
us, like, you know what?
It was a compromise. I mean, it was fun.
He compromised and we compromised and said, listen, we're going to try our best to, do this as soon as possible. But at the end of the day, like Mike said, a lot of stuff came together. We gelled better as a band. We got to know each other as people.
Yeah, for sure.
Musically, we connect. And everything made sense. And now, like, that's why when you say, well, we got together in 2014, 15, and it's like, by the time we started playing shows, we're almost looking at 2016.
Yeah. And then when we did start to play shows, we still didn't have a freaking bass player. So
Exactly.
We're playing as a trio.
Played it as a trio.
Yeah, we couldn't play any songs with solos in them.
It's crazy
we
because
played an acoustic show or a show.
It's crazy because 2019 was the year that we played like 15, like most of our shows were in 2019. Because in 2016 we played 2 shows, 2017 we played like 4 or 5, 2018 4 or 5, and then 2019 we played like 15 shows.
And then we had 1 or 2 bass
shows.
players come on audition, and we stuck around. And then after a couple months they leave, so then we have to start over again.
Yeah.
And we found another guy, same thing happened.
Yeah.
So it's like we always had these setbacks.
Yeah, it was,
So
it was a lot of
we
stuff.
got frustrated. We're just like, hey, let's just play a show. So we'd play a couple of shows here and there, but always be as a trio. You know what I mean? And the one time we even did a full electric show with no bass player.
Which was one of our funnest shows.
It was one of our funnest shows, but it was like, this is like the giant void.
At this point, we would still do it. Like if there's a show thrown us, if there's a show thrown out, I mean, we have a bass player. We have Nico, and he's always there for us, and we have some backup plans. But if push comes to shove, and there's an event with friends or whatever, we'll jump on stage. We'll play. We're able to do it. We've played so much without a bass player that Mike's able enough to fill up enough room to make it not sound as crap.
Just gotta be tight. Well, tight, yes, but creative with the set list. I'm gonna pick and choose
Creative with the
songs,
set list,
obviously. I'm not gonna branch off to a solo.
And then you get your compliments from our family and our friends. Oh, you really need a bass player. Yeah, we're aware we need a bass player. But this is what we have. And that's what we did.